Comprehension, Jillian Foote. This week I decided to research the specific literacy challenge of comprehension. This is something that many of my students struggle with, specifically the student that I am working with for this course. Introduction. One of the greatest issues facing many of our readers today is comprehension. As Duff and Clark discuss, the purpose behind reading is in understanding what you are reading. This makes comprehension critical in the reading process. The student I am focusing on for this course has a really hard time comprehending what he is reading. His fluency is not the greatest, but he rarely has an understanding of what he is actually reading. We know that comprehension and fluency go hand in hand. As Sosa mentions, it is important to create strong readers, and to do this, we need to teach our students how to be purposeful and active in their reading, which is my goal for this student. Strategies and interventions. These are a few of the strategies and interventions I currently use to support my student who struggles with comprehension. Graphic organizers, specifically focusing on main idea in detail. Storyboards, because the student loves to draw, and storyboards are an easy, creative way students can retell a story using few words. This think mark that asks questions about vocabulary, the summary, characters, connections. Students are required to write their ideas, questions, and discoveries on a Post-it note and share them during their book group. Best practices, strategies, Tier 1 interventions. I researched 3 different strategies than the ones already mentioned to discover more resources to help my students struggling with comprehension. These strategies and interventions include repeated reading, self-questioning, and audiobooks. Repeated reading. Repeated reading is when a student rereads a text multiple times during one reading block. As Jefferson et al. Discusses, when a student rereads, their fluency increases and they are less likely to stop to decode words, etc., leading the student to focus more on the meaning of the text. I think this strategy would benefit many students, including the one I am focusing on, because I know that they become worried about reading each word correctly instead of comprehending what they are reading. You can use repeated reading in many different ways, including small groups, partners, or for close reads. Self-questioning. A skill that I think many students lack, including my student, is to self-monitor during reading. Jefferson et al. Discusses how important self-questioning can be to developing student comprehension. This skill allows readers to regulate their own thoughts, allowing them to comprehend their reading. My student would benefit from modeling the skill along with the graphic organizer to keep track of questioning and thoughts. This is an example of a graphic organizer that I would use with my student. Audiobooks. Audiobooks are another way to expose students to books without them becoming frustrated with decoding words. As Wilson states, audiobooks can help develop students' comprehension along with their vocabulary, listening, and oral language. I believe my student's motivation to read would also increase if he could use audiobooks. My student is very interested in technology, and adaptive technology seems to have worked for him so far, such as co-writer. I think audiobooks would lend itself to developing his comprehension skills because he wouldn't be focused on decoding and reading each word perfectly. He would be more focused on what was going on in the story. Students can also use audiobooks in small groups, individually, to complete rereadings, or to help them during reading activities such as graphic organizers, retelling, storyboards, etc. Assessments. There are many ways to monitor the students' comprehension growth from the proposed strategies, including running records that can be given anytime from once a week to once a month. This would track the progress the student is making with the comprehension. Accelerated Reader is another way to also track the comprehension growth of a student. It tracks the student's comprehension of just right books that they are reading. Teacher observations. This is good to use during small groups or individually conferencing with a student. And to look at their graphic organizers that they're completing during reading tasks and assignments, making sure that their growth is appropriate in comprehension. Conclusion. Comprehension is only one literacy skill that students have to develop to become a good reader. It is intertwined with other skills including fluency, among others. As Walzak and Griffith-Ross 2007 discuss, it's important to make sure we are providing students with opportunity to read aloud, read engaging, interesting material, minimize time restrictions on reading, etc. These opportunities will allow readers to develop their reading and comprehension skills. It is also important that we continue to progress with the best practice strategies and interventions to meet the needs of our students.